Scott Tyler was a young actor in the mid-1980s, known for his expressive eyes, tough yet sensitive demeanor, and strong screen presence. Moviegoers from that era likely remember him from roles like the younger version of a charismatic star, dreaming of leaving Brooklyn's working-class streets, or as a loyal sidekick in a teen rebellion film. He appeared poised for major fame, with potential for posters and magazine covers. However, big roles soon stopped coming, and he faded from screens, though not from fans' memories. This is his story, the icon of coming-of-age movies, and what followed after his brief spotlight. To truly understand the brief, bright moment of Scott Tyler's career and why it resonated so powerfully, you have to transport yourself back to the heart of the 1980s. It was a unique and explosive golden age for a very specific type of movie, the coming-of-age story. For decades, Hollywood had largely treated the lives of teenagers as the stuff of B-movies or light-hearted beach party fare. But in the 80s, something shifted. The rise of the suburban multiplex created vast new spaces for movies to play, and the home video revolution, powered by the VCR, created an insatiable secondary market. Suddenly, teenagers weren't just a demographic. They were a powerhouse audience with disposable income, and studios realized there was a fortune to be made by telling their stories. The undisputed king of this new genre was writer-director John Hughes. With a string of classic films like 16 Candles, The Breakfast Club, and Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Hughes turned the anxieties of high school into high art. He gave teenagers a voice that was witty, emotional, and deeply respectful of their inner lives. He saw them not as walking cliches, but as complex human beings struggling with universal themes of love, identity, class, and friendship. His films, and others like them, gave rise to a new kind of celebrity, the teen idol. This was the era of the Brat Pack, a term coined by a 1985 New York Magazine article to describe a group of young, beautiful actors like Molly Ringwald, Judd Nelson, Emilio Estevez, and Andrew McCarthy, who frequently appeared in these films together. They became the royalty of teen cinema, their faces gracing every magazine cover. Their lives, both on and off screen, became the subject of intense public fascination. This boom created a specific ecosystem for young actors. There were suddenly more roles, more opportunities, but also more competition than ever before. A specific type became popular: the sensitive rebel, the handsome preppy, the working-class hero. These archetypes populated our screens, and the actors who played them became avatars for a generation. To be a young actor in the mid-80s was to have a shot at a very specific, very intense kind of stardom, one built on relatability and youthful charm. It was a world of immense promise, but also one of immense pressure. It was into this vibrant, competitive, and often unforgiving landscape that a talented kid from the Bronx named Scott Tyler was about to make his mark. Scott Tyler was born on July 10th, 1968, in the Bronx, New York, a borough known for its gritty urban environment and diverse cultural influences during that era. Growing up in the city throughout the 1970s, he was surrounded by the raw energy of street life, which included navigating bustling neighborhoods, interacting with a mix of communities, and experiencing the everyday challenges and vibrancy of inner-city living. This upbringing instilled in him a natural, street-smart energy, a quick-witted adaptability and resourcefulness honed from real-life situations rather than formal training. Additionally, it fostered a grounded authenticity, characterized by an unpretentious demeanor and genuine relatability that set him apart from actors who emerged from more sheltered or privileged backgrounds. Unlike the polished kids from Hollywood acting schools, who often trained in controlled environments with professional coaches, Tyler possessed a real-world quality that felt inherently genuine, drawing from personal experiences of resilience, observation, and survival in a dynamic urban setting. These traits would later translate effectively to the screen, allowing him to portray characters with a believable depth and emotional honesty that resonated with audiences seeking authentic performances. Tyler began his acting career at a young age, demonstrating an early interest and aptitude for performance that led him to pursue opportunities in the entertainment industry. In 1982, at the age of 14, he landed his first significant role in the TV movie 3 Wishes for Jamie, which was an adaptation of a Broadway musical blending elements of fantasy, adventure, and heartfelt storytelling. The project involved portraying a character in a narrative centered around wishes, dreams, and personal growth, providing Tyler with an initial platform to showcase his budding talent. Although this role was a modest start, appearing in a made-for-television production rather than a major theatrical release, it served as an important entry point into professional acting. The experience allowed him to gain practical skills, such as working with directors, memorizing lines, and collaborating with other cast members, while also exposing him to the basics of on-set dynamics and production processes. Critically, this debut got him noticed by industry professionals, including casting agents and producers who recognized his potential and began considering him for more prominent opportunities, laying the groundwork for his subsequent breakthroughs. Tyler's big break arrived in 1984 when he was cast in the Gary Marshall-directed film The Flamingo Kid, a role that would introduce his face to millions of moviegoers and establish him as a promising young talent. At 16 years old, this opportunity marked a significant escalation in his career, transitioning from television to a feature film helmed by a renowned director known for his expertise in feel-good, character-driven stories. The Flamingo Kid itself was a quintessential 80s gem, embodying the decade's flair for heartfelt, nostalgic filmmaking that combined humor, drama, and social commentary. The story revolved around Jeffrey Willis, a working-class kid from Brooklyn, hailing from a family of plumbers, portrayed in his older form by the charismatic and impossibly handsome rising star Matt Dillon. Set in the summer of 1963, the plot followed Jeffrey as he secured a job at the glamorous private beach club called the El Flamingo, where he became seduced by the allure of wealth, status, and an easy lifestyle. This newfound world created tension with his salt-of-the-earth father, played by Hector Elizondo, who represented traditional values and hard work. Overall, the film offered a charming, funny, and deeply moving exploration of class tensions, the seductive pull of ambition, and the inevitable loss of innocence as characters grappled with personal growth and societal divides. In The Flamingo Kid, Scott Tyler was cast in the crucial role of young Jeffrey, a part that, while brief, played a pivotal role in setting the narrative's tone and emotional depth. The film opened with a beautifully shot black and white flashback sequence designed to evoke nostalgia and establish the character's backstory, thereby laying the entire emotional foundation for the story. In these opening scenes, viewers witness Jeffrey as a boy engaging in everyday activities like playing stickball in the grimy yet vibrant streets of Brooklyn, a depiction that captured the essence of youthful energy amid urban grit. Tyler's performance, lasting only a few minutes on screen, was executed with perfection, embodying the wide-eyed innocence of a child full of wonder and curiosity about the world. He also conveyed a simmering longing for something more, a subtle yearning for opportunities beyond the confines of his working-class environment. Furthermore, Tyler infused the role with raw Brooklyn energy, characterized by a streetwise toughness and authentic dialect that mirrored the character's roots. The casting choice proved impeccable. Not only did Tyler physically resemble a young Matt Dillon, but he also captured the essence of the character, feeling like a seamless precursor to Dillon's portrayal. In essence, Tyler embodied Jeffrey's heart and core traits before the main storyline even unfolded, providing a poignant bridge between the character's past and present. Working on The Flamingo Kid placed Tyler directly alongside one of the biggest young stars of the era, Matt Dillon, creating a powerful on-screen dynamic that enhanced the film's impact. In the narrative structure, Tyler represented the innocent past, the untainted, dreamy boyhood version of Jeffrey, while Dillon embodied the conflicted present, navigating the complexities of adulthood and ambition. This juxtaposition added layers of depth, allowing audiences to see the evolution of the character across time. Additionally, Tyler had the privilege of being directed by the legendary Gary Marshall, the creator of iconic television shows like Happy Days and Laverne and Shirley, whose expertise in crafting relatable, ensemble-driven stories brought out the best in the cast. Sharing a character arc with Dillon, a bona fide teen idol known for his brooding charisma and box office draw, should have served as a launching pad for Tyler's major career trajectory. The experience involved learning from seasoned professionals, adapting to the demands of a major motion picture set, and contributing to a project that blended comedy, drama, and coming-of-age elements. Upon its release in 1984, The Flamingo Kid achieved both critical and commercial success, earning praise for its warmth, engaging script, and wonderful performances from the ensemble cast. Reviewers highlighted the film's ability to balance humor with heartfelt moments, making it a beloved entry in 80s cinema that appealed to a wide audience through its themes of aspiration and family. Tyler's role as an essential bookend to the story, framing the narrative with the flashback sequences, was a key part of that acclaim, contributing to the overall emotional resonance and authenticity. For a brief moment following the film's positive reception, it appeared that this exposure would propel Tyler toward greater opportunities, with industry buzz suggesting he was on the cusp of stardom. The success opened doors for potential future roles, networking with influential figures, and building a resume that included collaboration with A-list talent, positioning him as a rising actor with a unique, grounded appeal. His next major role came just a year later, in another film that would become an iconic cult classic of the decade, The Legend of Billie Jean. This 1985 film was a starkly different beast from the sunny, bittersweet nostalgia of The Flamingo Kid. It was a gritty, rebellious story about a Texas teenager, Billie Jean Davy, played by Helen Slater, who becomes an accidental folk hero and a fugitive from the law. After her brother's scooter is destroyed by a local bully, a confrontation to get the money for repairs goes horribly wrong, and Billie Jean, her brother Binks, played by Christian Slater, and their friends go on the run. The film's tagline, "Fair is Fair," became a rallying cry for its young, anti-establishment audience. Scott Tyler was cast as Hubie Pyatt, one of the loyal neighborhood kids who gets caught up in Billie Jean's crusade. He was part of the core group, the loyal friend who stands by the film's hero through thick and thin. Once again, he was a memorable face in an iconic 80s ensemble cast. He held his own alongside other rising talents like Christian Slater and Yeardley Smith, who would later voice Lisa Simpson. His performance was grounded and relatable, the kind of loyal friend every kid wished they had. With two successful and culturally significant films under his belt before he was even 18, Scott Tyler seemed perfectly positioned for a long and successful career. He had proven his talent, his versatility, and his screen presence. He was a familiar face, a recognizable part of the 80s teen movie landscape. But this is where the story takes a turn, a quiet and gradual fade that is all too common in the brutal, unforgiving world of Hollywood. The shadow of Matt Dillon, the star he had so effectively mirrored in The Flamingo Kid, was a long one. Dillon went on to become one of the defining actors of his generation, successfully navigating the treacherous waters from teen idol to respected adult actor in films like Drugstore Cowboy and Crash. But for Scott Tyler, the path was not so clear. The phone didn't stop ringing entirely, but the quality of the roles began to change. He had a small part in the 1987 teen comedy Morgan Stewart's Coming Home with John Cryer, and another in the 1989 mob comedy Spike of Bensonhurst. These were not the star-making vehicles he might have hoped for. They were supporting roles, often in films that failed to make a significant impact. The industry that had briefly embraced him as the next potential star seemed to be moving on, its gaze constantly shifting in search of the next new face. This is a familiar and often cruel part of the child actor's journey. The very qualities that make a young actor successful, their youthful look, their specific type, can become a cage as they get older. The transition to adult roles is a notoriously difficult one, a chasm that many talented young performers are unable to cross. For Scott Tyler, the momentum from his mid-80s success began to wane. He was no longer the kid from The Flamingo Kid. He was a young man trying to find his place in an industry that had already put him in a box, often as the second banana or the younger version of a bigger star. But Scott Tyler was a dedicated actor. His love for the craft did not diminish when the film roles began to dry up. He did what many serious New York actors do when Hollywood becomes fickle. He turned to the stage. This part of his life, his post-Hollywood career, is the untold story, the chapter that reveals the depth of his commitment to his art. He began working in off-Broadway theater, a world far from the glamour and big paychecks of film sets, but one that offers a different, often more profound kind of reward, the chance to hone one's craft in front of a live audience, night after night. Finding records of this period is difficult, a testament to how far he had retreated from the public eye. But we know he performed in several productions. In 1991, he was part of the ensemble in a play called Baboons at the respected Primary Stages Theater. He also appeared in a production called Necktie Breakfast at the Harold Clurman Theater on Theater Row. These weren't splashy Broadway shows designed to make him a star. This was the work of a serious, dedicated actor, committed to the process of creation even when the cameras were no longer pointed at him. This period demonstrates a resilience and a passion for the art of acting that his filmography alone doesn't show. He wasn't just a former teen star, he was a working actor in one of the toughest theater cities in the world. Beyond his stage work, Scott Tyler's life in the 1990s and early 2000s is largely a mystery. He stepped away from the public eye almost completely. This lack of information is in itself a powerful part of his story. It speaks to a choice, perhaps, to reclaim a private life after a childhood spent in the often invasive glare of the spotlight. He returned to a world of normalcy, a world away from the pressures and judgments of Hollywood. It's a path many former child actors take, seeking the stability and anonymity that fame denies them. He was no longer the kid from The Flamingo Kid. He was simply Scott Tyler, a man living his life in his home state of New York, away from the industry that had both made him and in a way forgotten him. The final chapter of his story is a sudden, senseless, and deeply tragic one. On October 1st, 2006, in his hometown of Pleasant Valley, New York, Scott Tyler was involved in a traffic accident. The details are sparse, as his passing was not reported with the fanfare and front-page coverage that accompanies the death of a major celebrity. It was a quiet, local news item, a brief mention in the local paper. The boy whose face was once projected onto giant movie screens across the country, the face that represented the dreams and anxieties of a generation of moviegoers, died quietly on a street in upstate New York. He was only 38 years old. There are no major controversies or historical debates surrounding the life of Scott Tyler. His story is not one of scandal, addiction, or a dramatic, public fall from grace. It is something quieter, more common, and for that reason, perhaps even more tragic. The central debate his story invites is not about him as an individual, but about the brutal, often arbitrary nature of the entertainment industry itself. Why do some young actors like Matt Dillon skyrocket to lasting stardom, while others with seemingly equal talent and promise, like Scott Tyler, fade into obscurity? The answer is a complex and often frustrating mix of luck, timing, connections, typecasting, and the relentless, forward-moving churn of the Hollywood machine. Tyler had the misfortune of being perfectly cast as the younger version of an actor who would go on to dominate the very archetype Tyler himself embodied. He was, in a sense, typecast as someone else's shadow before he ever had a chance to cast his own. His story is a poignant case study in how a promising career can be stalled by forces entirely outside of an actor's control. It's a debate about a system that often chews up and spits out young talent, a system that creates countless what-if stories like Scott Tyler's. His life wasn't a controversy, it was a quiet casualty of a notoriously difficult profession. The historical significance of Scott Tyler, therefore, is not that of a major star who changed the course of cinema. His significance lies in his symbolic power. He is a significant and recognizable face of the 80s teen movie era, a period that holds a powerful grip on our collective cultural nostalgia. His story is historically important because it represents the thousands of other actors whose faces we know, whose performances we cherish, but whose names and life stories are largely forgotten. These are the actors who form the essential fabric of our cinematic memories, the supporting players and one-time wonders who make the films we love feel real, populated, and alive. Scott Tyler's story is a profound and heartbreaking lesson on the fleeting nature of fame and the quiet dignity of a life lived after the spotlight has moved on. It reminds us that behind every familiar face on our screens, there is a real person with a full life of hopes, dreams, successes, and disappointments. His legacy is a call to remember and honor not just the superstars, but also the dedicated working actors who contribute to the magic of the movies. Even if their time in the sun is brief, they are the bedrock of the industry, and their stories matter. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up, let us know your thoughts in the comments section, and subscribe so you won't miss out on future uploads. See you next time.